Leading the academic procession will be over 800 graduates of the graduating class of 2018. They, in turn, will be led by 2 column marshals. Following these graduates will be representatives of the Smith School's illustrious faculty and staff, led by Dean Alexander J. Triantis and Senior Associate Dean Michael O. Ball. Note that the leaders of each group will be carrying maces. Since the Middle Ages, university processions have been preceded by the carrying of the mace, a symbol of the university's authority to govern itself and to grant degrees. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the graduating class of 2018. Please rise for the singing of the national anthem, which will be performed by graduating senior Saif Shanto Alam.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Presiding over these exercises is Dr. Alexander Triantis, Dean of the Robert H. Smith School of Business.
Good afternoon, graduates of the class of 2018. Good afternoon, family and friends of the class of 2018. And good afternoon to our distinguished guests and the members of the Smith School faculty and administration. I welcome you to the commencement of the Robert H. Smith School of Business so that together we may honor our graduates who have completed the requirements for the Bachelor of Science degree. From each of us sitting on stage, from every teacher who taught you and every staff person who made your Smith experience possible, we offer a well-deserved congratulations. Give yourselves a round of applause. You should be proud. You've graduated from one of the preeminent business schools in the world. At the Smith School, the best students, the best faculty, and the most challenging problems of our global interconnected society come together in ways that are transformative and far-reaching. We are a center of collaboration, innovation, and fearless ideas. Every day, Smith ideas and Smith people are moving beyond labs and lecture halls to make a genuine and positive impact on our economy, our society, and our world. Today, you become one of those people. You will go out into the world ready to create value for your organizations, live lives of meaning and purpose, and impress the heck out of everyone who meets you. Many of you are wearing cords and multiple stoles today in recognition of your activities and academic honors. One such cord I'd like to point out is rose gold in color and designates students who contributed to the senior class gift. It is a special person who will give back to their school prior to graduation, and I would like to thank you for your generosity and leadership. If you're wearing a Smith Philanthropy cord, please stand so that we can recognize you. The occasion of your commencement is a time to celebrate journeys, to celebrate beginnings and endings and all the amazing things that happen in between. Today, we look back on your journey and look forward to your future. Some members of the platform party will be introduced as the program proceeds. At this time, I would like to introduce other platform participants. Please hold your applause until everyone has been introduced. Regent Ellen Fish, member of the University System of Maryland Board of Regents. Professor Ritu Agarwal, Senior Associate Dean of Research and Strategic Initiatives. Chris Dax, Assistant Dean of Development and Alumni Relations. Patricia Reich, Assistant Dean of Career Services. Zachary Azrael, President, Smith Undergraduate Student Association. Professor Michael Fu, Chairperson of Decision, Operations, and Information Technologies. Professor David Gaddis, Chairperson of Marketing. Professor Kurt Grimm, Chairperson of Logistics, Business, and Public Policy. Professor Stephen Heston, representing Professor Prabhala, Chairperson of Finance. Professor David Kirsch, representing Professor Kay Bartol, Chairperson of Management and Organization. Professor Martin Loeb, Chairperson of Accounting and Information Assurance. This platform is not large enough to contain all who have played an important role in making this day possible. In this regard, a special debt of gratitude is owed to the outstanding faculty at College Park and the Robert H. Smith School of Business, and to the dedicated staff who have given so much of themselves to the graduates. Also, at this time, we respectfully request that all attendees remain seated throughout the entire ceremony in order to provide full recognition to all graduates. Let's begin by hearing from a member of the class of 2018. Dr. Michael Ball, Senior Associate Dean, will now introduce our student speaker.
I am now pleased to introduce our student speaker, Sherry Levine, who is graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Finance and a Bachelor of Science in Information Systems. Sherry participated in two of the most prestigious academic experiences offered by the Smith School. She served as cohort representative in the Quest Honors Program, which brings together students from Smith with students from engineering and computer science to work on interdisciplinary projects. She was also an equity analyst with the student-led Lemma Senbit Fund, one of 12 students who manages this $1 million university endowment fund. Sherry was also a fearless leader during her time at the Smith School. As president of her sorority, Sigma Delta Tau, she planned events and programs and facilitated board meetings. As president of the Operations and Business Analytics Society, she collaborated with faculty to create extracurricular experiences for her fellow students. Despite her challenging academic schedule, Sherry also took advantage of the global opportunities Smith offers. She spent a semester abroad at Bocconi University in Milan, Italy, and participated in a global immersion program to Dubai and Hong Kong. Upon graduation, Sherry will join J.P. Morgan as an investment banking analyst in their Diversified Industries Group in New York. Please join me in welcoming Sherry Levine.
Thank you, Dr. Ball, for the kind introduction. I am truly honored to be up here today. Thank you to our Smith School professors, administrators, staff, Smith peers, friends, and families who have supported us in our collegiate endeavors. To my fellow Smith School Class of 2018 graduates, Congratulations on reaching this milestone and being here today. Congratulations on the classes you chose to attend, the individual papers you wrote, the group presentations you gave, the online simulations you completed, the organizations you joined, the organizations that you led, and the friendships and connections you made. Congratulations on reaching commencement. Commencement. This is our commencement ceremony. Commencement signifies beginning. Though we are here to celebrate our graduation and undergraduate accomplishments, our purpose is not to focus on our departure from the Smith School. Rather, we are here to embrace the beginning of the next period of our lives, which has been enhanced by our undergraduate educations at the Smith School. As I began addressing the opportunities that Smith gave me to begin my next chapter, I thought of my first BMGT course, Introduction to the Business Value Chain, where I worked on my first college team project. I thought of the first club in the business school I joined. For me, it was the Accounting and Business Association. I thought of experiences that many of us share, joining one of the honors programs, enrolling in fellows, leading a Smith organization, becoming a TA, walking to the employer of the day table just to get donuts or Chick-fil-A, visiting classes in which we may not have been enrolled just to see our peers, joining a business fraternity, adding on a second major, changing majors, reverting back to our original majors, and pretending to frequently need advising assistance just to visit the academic advising staff. Maybe that last one was just me. And I've realized that these experiences within the Smith School have given each of us the opportunity to become our own Smiths. Smiths come in many forms. Traditional Smiths include blacksmiths, goldsmiths, locksmiths, tunesmiths, wordsmiths, and our Maryland state dessert, the Smith Island cake. A smith, just like a craftsman, is one who creates or performs with skill or dexterity. The Smith School has inspired each of us to become our own Smiths in the areas in which we are most interested. We have each studied for hundreds of hours to improve our skills in our select majors. We have utilized our teachings from BMGT 367 in our interview processes. We have exercised our acquired knowledge through internships and hands-on projects. We have attended Smith-sponsored corporate events to determine our ideal career paths. And now, we have reached the beginning of the next chapter of our lives, where each of us may elect to create or perform with skill in our respective fields. Some of us may become audit smiths, performing successfully at an accounting firm. Others may become startup smiths, utilizing knowledge from management and entrepreneurship courses to generate outstanding businesses. We have Wall Street smiths, consulting smiths, system smiths, and marketing smiths. We've each become calculator smiths through our first finance course. We've become professional writing smiths, Excel smiths, and free food smiths. Each of us have been given the opportunity through the Smith School to explore the skills and information we wish to take with us into the next stages of our lives. We are not here to celebrate our departure from Smith. We are here to celebrate our new beginnings, which have been enhanced and shaped by our undergraduate experiences at Smith. As we enter our next beginnings, the next stages of life, we will each exemplify the Smith School's teachings through the Smiths we have become as undergraduates. Congratulations to the Smith School class of 2018. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sherry. That did break the world's record for most Smiths in 5 minutes. Well, it is my great pleasure to welcome today's commencement speaker, Dana Ritzkoven, who is a Group Managing Director and Head of Human Resources for Global Wealth Management at UBS, a global financial services company. Dana is a proud Terp with an undergraduate degree from the University of Maryland and has had an enormously impressive career. Her energy, drive, and relentless focus have earned her the name Hurricane Dana. Dana has been champion for employees throughout her career. As part of two large-scale mergers in the industry, Credit Suisse, Donaldson, Lufkin, and Jeanrette, and Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, she played a critical role in the integration efforts, championing what was best for employees on both sides of the mergers. At UBS, Dana developed and led the rollout of the most generous and progressive employee policies in the industry, including caregiver paid leave, paid elder care leave, and personal coaching for new parents and their managers. Dana also championed the design and rollout of the innovative Career Comeback program at UBS. The program offered women who had taken a career break to raise children a 20-week paid internship followed by placement into a permanent role when they were ready to re-enter the workforce. UBS received more than 1,200 applications to fill the inaugural cohort. In her passion for people and workplace excellence, Dana represents the best of what a high-level executive can be. I can think of no finer role model as you begin your career journeys. Please join me now in welcoming Dana Ritzkoven.
Thank you, Alex, for your kind words. Good evening, faculty, friends, and family, and congratulations to the class of 2018 on this major life accomplishment. Thank you for having me. I'm truly honored and humbled to be with you tonight. And when I was asked to speak tonight, I thought a lot about what to cover. And I wanted to talk about a topic that gave you ideas that you could apply as you started your lives in the business world. In fact, I wish someone had covered the topic with me 25 years ago when I started out in my career. The topic that I want to talk about is leadership. It's safe to assume that each of you wants to build a career that you're proud of. And having the right leadership skills is an essential component to doing just that. But before I talk about leadership, let me tell you a little bit about me. I did graduate from this fine institution in 1993. I do fear that you're doing the math right now to calculate how old I am. But I hope that at least a few of you are saying, wow, she looks okay for her age. I remember years ago sitting right in your seat. I didn't know what I wanted to do or what kind of a career I wanted to have. But I've been incredibly fortunate to be in the center of some of the largest and most complex business ventures and transactions in the industry. But I've been even more fortunate to learn a lot about people, perhaps even too much. I've seen a lot in 25 years. I've worked through market crashes, and I've watched employees make choices that were detrimental to their careers. But I've also met outstanding leaders, leaders who were compassionate and thoughtful and driven, and leaders who took a deep personal interest in developing other people. Leaders who showed me what being a great leader looks like, and I wanted to share with you some of the lessons that I've learned over the years. But let me start by addressing whether leaders are born or made. And I have no doubt in my mind that leadership can be taught. And we have an amazing program at UBS called Leading the Future, where we do just that. We teach people about leadership, and it's had a profound impact on me, even as a facilitator for the program. So I wanted to share with you 3 concepts from that program, 3 of many in it, because if you want to experience personal growth and differentiate yourself as a great leader, you will apply these 3 concepts. So first, leadership is about altering what people think is possible and right by understanding their worldviews. 2, leaders think, listen, and speak differently than other people do. And 3, leaders speak respectfully about the past, realistically about the present, and optimistically about the future. So let's explore these a little bit, starting with the first. Leadership is about altering what people think is possible and right by understanding their worldviews. Leadership is not, I repeat, is not about where you sit in an organizational chart or how many people report into you. Leadership is truly about your ability to influence how other people see things. And sometimes you'll find, and I'm sure you have already, that people will resist change. But the problem is we oftentimes fail to ask why. Why are they resisting the change? They might resist the change even if they think it's the right decision because they think it's not possible. Frequently, you'll hear comments like, we don't have the time, or the resources or the expertise to get that done. It's not possible. Or they may resist because they don't think it's the right decision. It's a bad idea. You'll hear it's a bad business decision. We need to deal with both kinds of resistance. And as leaders, you can change, as I said, what people think is possible and right by understanding their worldviews. So what are worldviews? Worldviews are shaped by our life experiences, our life events, how our families live, the relationships that we have with our friends, with our parents, our travel, and of course, our education. We form rules and stories based on all of this, and it helps to shape what we think is possible and right. All of those experiences do just that. So in order to change or even understand a person's worldview, you need to realize a couple of things. Number one, we all have them. You have them and I have them, and again, they're all based on our past experiences. Number two, we firmly believe they're right. They are our reality. And number three, we surround ourselves with people that reinforce that they're right, and we call them friends, because that's what friends do. If business is all about relationships, the more you know about the people around you as you go into the business world and their experiences, thus their worldviews, the more you can influence them. I say it all the time. We hire employees at organizations, yet human beings show up instead. Let me give you an example of something that happened with my own team. I was working really closely with management as we were changing the business focus. And as you change a business focus, oftentimes you have to redesign the compensation plans and the organizational structure. Clearly, it was a massive effort for my team, which I was incredibly excited about. When I excitedly brought this news back to my team, I was met with major resistance. Alex, perhaps this is where Hurricane Dana came from. After a few days of friction, I went back to my team and I took my own advice and I asked them why. Why were they resisting this change? I asked them if they thought the proposed change was the wrong business decision or if they just didn't think it was possible. And what they explained to me was while they understood the business decision and they actually thought it was the right one, it made sense to them, that based on past experiences, they didn't believe it was possible given the time frame. So the team's behavior was driven by their worldview from past experience. After I was able to understand that worldview, I was able to address the issue, get them the resources that they needed, and the power of understanding worldviews allowed us to execute collectively as a team. So now let's shift to the second concept. Leaders think, listen, and speak differently than other people do. Let's start with how they think. When a leader hears a new idea or a concept, they resist the impulse to apply their own personal worldview. They keep an open mind, and they employ what I'll call possibility thinking. A great example of possibility thinking is one that I saw during one of the mergers that I was involved in. It was a small group of us that were brought under the tent and told about the merger. And this was a huge endeavor. There were major differences in the cultures, large financial risk, massive integration efforts, not to mention there absolutely would be short-term business disruption. Some brought under the tent thought that it was a bad idea. They focused on the negative, the disruption, the potential loss of jobs, while some employed possibility thinking. They thought about the synergies that could be realized. What were the business opportunities that lay ahead? And what were the best practices of the two legacy firms that we could bring together into one? The latter group was thinking like leaders. They were excited by the change, and they spent their energy and creativity on solutions. So that's how leaders think differently. How do leaders listen differently? You guessed it, it's possibility listening. People listen in one of many ways, but a few are action and evaluation or possibility listening. In evaluation and action listening, you're listening to quickly determine whether something's right or wrong, useful or not useful. But the problem is, as you're evaluating that listening, if you deem it wrong or not useful, you immediately stop listening because you've tuned it out. Conversely, if you deem it right or possible, you kick into action, and you're automatically thinking about who will do what and when, and again, you've stopped listening. Both evaluative and action listening are very common and very valuable in both education and in business. We all have responsibilities, assignments, and the associated deliverables, but good leaders resist doing this until it is actually time to evaluate or time to take action. That last mode of listening, the one I mentioned before, and the one that good leaders consistently embrace, is possibility listening. So with possibility listening, you're listening openly. You're listening to learn out of curiosity, and most importantly, you're listening and you suspend prejudgment. It's really hard to do this, but it is so valuable, and valuable to you in both business and in your personal lives. Last on the topic of leaders think, listen, and speak differently is how leaders speak differently. There's two different kinds of speaking. There's speaking for and they're speaking about, and leaders speak for ideas and people that they believe in. The big difference in speaking for has advocacy, it's with passion, and it's personal. Speaking about, on the other hand, is simply reporting the facts. It's the information. So I'll give you an example. If I go to a business meeting and I want you to meet my colleague, Mark. Mark has been at UBS for 15 years as the head of strategy. Before that, Mark worked for Morgan Stanley for 9 years in both their finance and treasury department. In this example, I'm speaking about Mark. It's just the facts. So now I'll speak for Mark. I want to introduce you to my partner, Mark. I've had the pleasure of working with Mark for the last 4 out of his 15-year career, where he's had tremendous success in strategic marketing, in client analytics, and a major impact on influencing our operating model. While I've only had the pleasure of working with Mark for the last 4 years, he has absolutely lived up to his reputation in the industry of being one of the most creative, dedicated, and execution-oriented executives I know. Does it sound different? When I speak for Mark, it's personal. It shows my appreciation for his commitment with passion as his advocate. So that's how a leader speaks. And finally, the last of the 3 concepts. Leaders speak respectfully about the past, realistically about the present, and optimistically about the future. Many of us do 1 or 2 of these things well, but it's really important to do all 3. So let's start with the past. Whether you're starting a new job or a new role in an organization, you can't walk in and say what's wrong. It's important to respect your predecessors and the processes in place, as many of the people that helped to build those processes are still there, and you'll insult them with your criticism. I've seen so many new managers walk into a new role and talk about the mess that they've inherited. It turns people off, and good leaders don't do it. Next, on being realistic about the present and optimistic about the future, I once had a colleague who was the head of operations, and he wanted to do a town hall for his thousands of operations staff. It was a well-known fact among his team that the technology and the processes needed an overhaul. His people were really frustrated, and he wanted to get them excited about the changes ahead that he had worked really hard to put in place for them. He was hugely optimistic about the pending changes, but he didn't speak realistically about the current issues. He didn't acknowledge or address their frustration, and he lost the crowd. He lost the opportunity to show them that he was grounded in realism. It was very difficult for him to recover, to get them excited about what was exciting ahead. So those are the 3 concepts around leadership. And I know I've thrown a lot at you, so here's what I need you to remember as you go out into the world. Number 1, leadership is about altering what other people think is possible and right by understanding their worldviews. 2, leaders think, listen, and speak differently than other people do. And number 3, leaders speak respectfully about the past, realistically about the present, and optimistically about the future. And I firmly believe that leadership can be taught, and if you employ some of these tactics, you will be a better leader and a better person. And please remember, leadership is not where you sit on an organizational chart. It is never too early to start acting like a leader. You can always think and listen for new possibilities, and people's behavior does make sense given their worldviews. And remember to speak for what you believe in. And on doubting yourself, and I often do, you're not alone. In the words of a University of Maryland alumni, Larry David, who's had an amazingly good career, he once said, "I have reservations about everything I do." Thank you for having me here. Congratulations to you. Good luck in your careers and on becoming great leaders. Go Terps.
Thank you so much, Dana, for these inspirational words to our fearless leaders of the future. And I just want to give you a small token of appreciation.
Thank you so much.
A professional photographer will be taking each graduate's picture as they receive their envelope. In order not to obstruct the view of other guests, family and friends are asked to not enter the floor for photographs. Also, we remind all attendees to please remain seated throughout the entire ceremony in order to fully recognize all of today's graduates. Dr. Victor Mullins, Associate Dean of Undergraduate Programs, will present the class of 2018 graduates. Will the candidates please rise?
Dean Triantis, I'm very pleased to present to you the graduates of the class of 2018.
Dean Mullins, I am honored to recognize these graduates who have successfully completed all requirements for the Bachelor of Science degree.
Will the graduates please be seated? Mr. Dale Vanderwall, Assistant Dean of Strategic Operations, and Dr. Rebecca Ratner, Associate Dean of Academic Affairs, will introduce the graduates. We will now recognize graduates who are members of the platform party.
Saif, Shanto alum, double major in Information Systems and Accounting, graduating cum laude. Sherry Levine, double degree in Finance and Information Systems, graduating magna cum laude.
Will all other graduates please remain seated until directed to the platform to receive our congratulations?
The following students are accounting majors. Anthony Taylor, Johnny Castro, Sandra Raimundo, Danny Chacon, Pamela Gonzalez Marroquin, Loretta Tacky. Kyle Pett. Tayo Omisore. Anna Maloney, cum laude. Young Kung Lee. Mark Mao. Devin Thrasher. Ariba Aslam. Alan Belisario. Nardos Bezune. Bethlehem Mengestu. Aman Asif. Christina Lowe. Keflu Kidani. Matthew Martin. Ian Miller. Gregory Leonhardt. Christian Dagos. Kai Huang. Quan Yi Chen. Ian Monroe. Zachary Rispler. Si Chen Hung. Patrick Jackson. Ladan Salvidio. Dania Valencia. Kevin Parks. Sarah Ruiz. Alexandra Burgos. Dee Lang. Erica McBride. Maxwell Auerbach. Andrew Kim. Robert Lewis. Anastasia Romero. Cindy Dewey. Andrew Chung. Thomas Pryor. Charles Chung. Mahir Hussein. Mason Hong. Connie Pan. Jonathan Lee, magna cum laude. Michael Liu. Sean Khan. Calvin Tran. Veronica Novoa. Kevin Adams. Shane Davis. James Scaletta. William Hendren. Patrick Kyle. Carly Hopple. Tiffany Tran Kim. Jacqueline Connell. Lexis Ampadu. Calvin Chow. Joseph Prock. Donovan Delore. John Giel. Kangmu Ha. Suji Kim. Yang Peng. Keandra Tyndall. Belshachu Haley. Michael Ford. Rova Niane. Ramam Mansijosoa, cum laude. Turi Bishsas. Lotharius Aldwin. Bryant Bowman. Shane Bauer. Min Thura. Jose Chavez Torres. Amselek Gesese. Claudine Nung. Nicholas Reed. Selamawit Tamarat. Chad Siegel. Brandon Cohen. Aiden Jacob. Curtis Stubbs. Daniel Brummer. Olivia Sondler. Heather Madigan.
Thank you. Yes.
Jessica Martins. Sydney Kobeck, magna cum laude. Keaton Jacobs. Matthew Krager. Christina Basil. Gabrielle Bianchi. Matthew Na. Samuel Ford. Thomas Lipset. Fernando Fernandez. Jutarat Poe. Francesca Ballon. Alvaro Garzon. Hao Chen. Andres Medina. Fangbin Wang. Lena Trey War. Faisal Ibi. Diego Yunda. Xiaomin Lin. Jennifer Miller, Departmental Honors. Allison Resnikoff, magna cum laude. Ying Tin Song. Shan Lu. Ling Chen. Meng Lu Shi. Nina Lei. Lauren Naftali, cum laude. Samantha Macris. Andrew Kovar, cum laude. Miranda O'Donnell. Gabrielle Tharker. Seth Tawes. Hyuk Chan Shin. Calvin Cam. Jamie Klotzbach. Kevin Bartholomew Anani. Karen Zelaya. Veronica Beltran. Carolina Juarez. Vanessa Montiel. Brenda Torres. Sandra Thomas. Taisia Krylova. Jalen Cook. Elizabeth Ailshire. Juliana Preselski. Luke Farrell. Michaela McKay. Joshua Singh Shin Suk. Victoria Tataw. Chetachi Ukajianya. Sarah Husted, magna cum laude. Allison Herskowitz. Allison Conde. Hunter Stevens, summa cum laude. Christina O'Connell. Ji Woong Sim. Ryan Brown. Connor Haynes. Gaetano Lamberti. Joseph Piscatelli. Zachary Kratchman. Nabil Breck. Colin Gergar. Jim Quinn. Shelley Chen. Sarah Nam. Jonathan Chang, Departmental Honors. Jacob Rim. Bingshin Bai. Chi Yewan Young. Yijing Wang. Xin Yang. Shanshan Wang. Catherine Sudbrook, Departmental Honors. Camille Nelson. Jasmine Wu. Samuel Mallory. Kenneth Zhang. Erica Shields. Merrill Thomas, cum laude. The following students are information systems majors. Nicholas Ross.
Information system, yeah.
Samantha Levy. Mengshe Kao. Sean Daniels, cum laude. John Dull. Brittany Orr. Nicholas Tabler. Julianne Grosjean, magna cum laude. Nishwath Samia. Charmaine Qureshi. Amir Ripani. Kelsey Edwards, Departmental Honors. Thomas Piantone. Kevin Lopez. Furhan Khalek. Osama Naeem. Scott Mateka. Yan Ding. Jiming Wu. Caitlin Moore. Ruth Dudley. Sharita Ray. Min Bo. Andrew Tran. Amy Yee. Anjali Kalavar, cum laude. Douglas Tong. Ji Huang. Mandy Yang.
That's okay, you can participate.
Song Moon Lee. Patrick Lin. Zakia Randall. Adedeji Adebayo. Marcus Washington. Amaya Jabber. Quentin Kent. Naveed Bastani. Joseph Verdone. Van Wynn. Stone Chen. Jasmine Zhu. Brianna Williams. James Wong. Uday Misra. Natalie Hutchison. Alvin Wang. Kayla Sukri. Shannon Ishimoto. Ukshay Malhotra. Liam Zitchik. Tuyang Tran. Mohammed Jaya. Abigail Kajayan. Ashley Ray. Emily Yang, summa cum laude. Namitha Ramakrishna, magna cum laude. Daniel Battle. Rima Halbani. Ayub Antar. Zaid Mutasib. The following students are operations management and business analytics majors. Andrew Mackey. Ivania T-Berry. Aliyah Abdelkader. Jacob King. Tiffany Mamensa. Chiname Obie Fune. Brendan Cox. Samuel Panich. Joshua Backman. Brianna Kobel. Madeline Clark. Addie Armbruster. Madison Teagan. Elias Yusufzay. Miranda Myers. Teresa Inkang. Yim Foot Nguyen. Andy Hoon. Andrew Liu. Stephen Hines. Anna Loftness. Pleiku Win. The following students are marketing majors. Brian Floan. Andrew Stringfellow.
Thank you very much.
Jacob Cram. Cameron Odd. Juan Bermudez. Christopher Fanis. Mohil Gupta. Ishan Day. Julia Kutarev. Chloe Berman, cum laude. Eva Boyshin, Departmental Honors, summa cum laude. David Klotz. Jordan Reese. Abigail McClive. Mariah Bogan. Cheyenne Bartolome. Olga Ziganova. Andrew DeMichael. Maxwell Silverman. Madeline Owens. JC Eisel. Shayna Etches. Estefany Elena Sandoval. Edwin Lopez. Christian Machado. Benjamin Van Neste. Maurice Nine. Ryan Friedman. Eric Young. Amanda Ferreira. Roger Pope. Caroline Summers. Melissa Piscata. Vivian Mendoza. Desiree Negron. Matthew D'Souza. Daniel Shasho. Michael Nunziato. Keon Haddad. Alexander Davidson. Amy Gill, Departmental Honors. Eric Lyman. Emily Balcom. Deandra Jones. Katie Doherty, magna cum laude. Rebecca Friedman. Rebecca Leone. Colleen DeCampo. Andrew Shapiro. Alyssa Domash. Morgan Freed. Allison Lieberman. Jordan Goldberg. Madison Tippett. Emily Jacobs. Pyle Pubby. Ashley Kavanaugh. Bridget Campion. Robert Burke. Neil Amaral. Brandon Cho. Daniel Ganton. Helen Liu, Departmental Honors, summa cum laude.
Thank you very much.
Patrick Russo.
Thank you very much.
Thomas Clark. Gary Cazelli. Catherine Harris. Shayla Kuntz. Alexa Gorzicki. Eric Higgins. Brett Panichon. Philip Pecker. Alexandra Noyes. Jared Nozick. Luke Watson. Cornelius Griffith. Sophia Haji Pantelli. Bunsi Patel. David Tarza. Javid Seth Durant Mitchell. Ludwig Alassar. Edwin Arias. Vito Valone. Alexa Stone. Marina Gonzalez. Marcelo Chavaria. Sama Tamadan Jerome. Jasmini Queiroz. Gianfranco Vega. Luis Gomez. Stephen Lafamina. Ryan Satsky. Kyle Lopez. Rebecca Trujillo. Brooks Gearhart. Elizabeth Ogilvy. Caroline Grover. Theodore Harris, cum laude. Brianna Bellino. Sarah Ballo, cum laude. Claire Linton. Shui Ting Ivy Xia, Departmental Honors, cum laude. Melissa Fellman. Charlotte Lee, cum laude. Jordan Steiner. Jacob Hughes. Nicholas Cho. Nicholas Gardner. Catherine Zamoda.
Thank you.
Daniel Jenkins. Caitlin Natchez. Yi Zhang, cum laude. Jiayi Ting. Thu Tran. Grace Young, magna cum laude. Tarsila Torrens. Ryan Babnu. Isaac Adiku.
That's good. Excellent. The following students are finance majors. Gage Balesta. Nandin Vidlani. Jonah Panikar, summa cum laude. Gregory Bell, departmental honors. Nandini Chaudhry. Johnson Lowe. Mustafa Assad. Patrick Coughlin. Elijah Richardson. Desmond Morrison. Hafiz Adeoye. Scott Island. John Forsman. Carleni Arizaga. Granit Krasniqi. Shayan Yousefi. Albert Misul. Maria Balangero. Logan Nicastro. Rahul Vazarkar, magna cum laude. Samantha Fotino. Natalie Wilforth, cum laude. Yuzhou Jiang. Drew Pascale. Gerardo Espinoza. Micah Spielman, cum laude. Jeremy Heiken. Daniel Katz. Benjamin Binyaminov.
I try my best, my guy. Thank you.
Daniel Ogunlowo, departmental honors, magna cum laude. Calvin Ho, summa cum laude. Paula Rabade, magna cum laude. Brett Weidemeyer, departmental honors, summa cum laude. Kenneth Rosenbach.
Thank you.
Rohan Bajaj.
Thank you.
Kadili Chukwu Eze Kwore. Keith Jernigan. Will Case. Kwame Kuma. Patrick Cimarola, cum laude.
I will.
Jared Tomer. Harriet Dodsey. Adam Harrison. Charlena Jean. Jacob Vidronsky. Kyle Brown, departmental honors, summa cum laude. David Nizelski. Departmental honors, magna cum laude. Jamie Grossart. Michael Du, cum laude. Thank you. Joseph Cardarelli, summa cum laude. Gang Nu. Catherine Gugliata. Alexandra Baloco. Keith Vasconcelos. Chad Grusin. Michael Fuchs. Perry Gordon. Ankush Manchanda. Grayson Boozer. Jason Perez. Robert Ellett. Donna Borisley. Yun Tang. Julia Matson. Madeline Hope, magna cum laude. Melissa Horowitz, departmental honors, magna cum laude. Harrison Schweitzer. Amartyo Sen. Daniel Martinez. Anthony Ventura. Matthew Hartopin, departmental honors. Sean Brosco. Alexander Lowenthal. Jordan Kupferberg. Daniel Laterio. Ang Lee. Taylor Hillman. Philip Kwong. Leticia Flores. Kayla Seuss. Justin Liu. Joseph Maloney. Melissa Sklar, magna cum laude. Jory Shearer. Reed Smith. Dylan Spiel.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Joshua Rich. Timothy Doe.
Thank you. We'll make money.
Tyler Silverstein. Samuel Hartz. Cole Drummond, cum laude. M. Greenberg. George Lee, cum laude. Alejandro Smith, magna cum laude. Daniel Marzullo. Lena Bauer. Kathleen Curry, magna cum laude. Rachel Denton, cum laude. Natalie Urban. Raymond Collins. Daniel Jenkins. Thomas Furlong. Brian Fick. Virginia Sangster, cum laude.
Congratulations.
Tori Brungart. Kimberly Livingstone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
William Chapone. Stephen Seraphin. Trevor Janowski. Rachel Sanders. Lindsay Zolette. Sam Feitel. Noah Schiff, cum laude. Chloe Seltzer. Sophie Smolin. Brittany Royce. Allison Grinspoon. Ronald Odlum. Ethan Side. Kimberly Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Isabella Callender. Sophia Kunzel, cum laude. Eleni Boutsikaris. Augustine Aguirre, cum laude. Matthew Guterman.
Yeah, I feel good.
Nikhil Tarwar. Gabriel de Castro Ros. Michael Ronaldo. Nayib Calendar. Harsa Moyeri. Lance Tinana.
Thanks so much.
Andre Paget.
It's been great. Thank you.
Parth Talwar. Nikita Jumani. Amy Zhang. Andrew Creighton. Catherine O'Reilly. Nathaniel Zumba. Matthew Petrides. Zuri Zhao. Michael Zahn. Scott Lastova.
Congratulations.
Jordan Leibowitz.
Congratulations.
Eva Shen. Evan Silverman. Jeremy Sabrio. Arjun Kumar. Christopher Allen. Jared Lipschitz. Chandler Kennel. John Radcliffe. Martin Gonzalez. John Spies. Marshall Miller. Jeffrey Nam. Adam Silbert. Drew O'Connell. Jeremy Peterson. Nate Adams. Karush Ashtari Yazdi. Jorge Richardson. Chiajan Yen. Paella Wong. Yishuen Wong. Jiaying Wu. Stuart Krantz, Departmental Honors, cum laude. Kirby Rhodes, Departmental Honors, magna cum laude. Dana Rodriguez. Emily Forcio. Omar Althausen. James Brett. Sam Eisen. Alon Asherzadeh. Jake Steinberg. Brenner London. Michael Zabrowski. Joseph Berman. Jesse Fidel. Jeremy List, cum laude. Baba So. Claire Whittakis. Ariel Oppenheimer. Emily LeGrand, cum laude. Emily Morris. Claire Devane, Departmental Honors. Emma Ivaroni. Monica Lawrence. Morgan Shelko. Tori Vino. Catherine Myers. Laura Wunderlich Departmental Honors. Kelsey Forbes, cum laude. Jamie Palmer, cum laude. Alejandra Loris.
Yes, I'm very happy. Thank you so much.
Adam Aist. Hunter Jameson. Joshua Caldwell. Stephen Walsh. Benjamin Brown. Trevor Ferrara. Connor Codabonde. Michael Oristano. Connor Stieglitz. Shane Cassidy, cum laude. Mark Sintetis.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Jacob Carl. Jacob Good. Brett Bond, magna cum laude. Thomas Ryan. Michael Crooks. Christopher Meyer. Carter Schaefer.
Thank you so much.
Sammy Karama.
Thank you.
Austin Track. Winston Reed. Matthew Reinhardt, magna cum laude. Timothy Hill.
Thank you so much.
Matthew Brennan. Andrew Miller. Scott Ritter. Matthew Shaney. Jordan Dunn. Alan Furuyama. Guilherme Menoetti, summa cum laude. Aaron Newman. Jacob Weiss. Johnny Stricklet. Brittany Anderson. Tatiana Sindas. Salandria Span. Tamarat Mulugeta. Malik Suleiman. Austin Jones. Chaz Gladden. Justice Stanton. Thomas White. Michael Barnes. Michael Barillo.
Thank you so much.
Siwei Wang.
Thank you.
Saran Asfal. Diamond Smith. The following students are supply chain management majors. Mary Hope, summa cum laude.
Pressure sign here.
Andrew Keenan. Taylor Judge. Seher Malik.
Thanks so much.
Anders Norberg. Natalie Tran. Rahul Mehta. Jordan Arndt. Serena Haryanto. Alexandra Malik. Gabrielle Nash. Michelle Zhao. Christy Powell. Saran Bizuwayo. Lucy Hu.
Yes, I'm doing.
Sarah Vepumtara. Cynthia Zhang. Taylor Blair. Christina Paras, cum laude. Alexa Goodrow. Christina Ditta. Jennifer Grimes. Nadia Kutishiwa. Peter Tran. Patrick Kelly. Brandon Longest. Chase Taylor. Diljan Melhi. Tyler Brandon. Nahot Gebre Mariam. Christian Olson. Rishub Chatterjee. Rachel Martin.
Yes, sir.
Alexandra Romano. Kate Wetchler.
Okay.
Daniel Chait. Michael Grippo. Michael Wolbrecht. The following students are international business majors. James Burchard. Joseph Tabukin. Toan Nguyen. Felicia Yao. Tina Nika Katar. Tomas Reinhardt. David Lurie. Michelle Young. John Rose. Samuel Brechtel. Monica Bladell. Alexi House. Isaac Hembry. John Bodiford. Jason Oakes. Luke Feldman. Lorenzo Bartolini. Naquin Vu. Hai Son Dong. Elizabeth Kwan. Monica Surferier. Jasmine Brown. Douglas Giroux. Wow. Bolu Adebekun. Emma Heberton. Kara Quart, cum laude. Jacob Veach, departmental honors, magna cum laude. Trin Nguyen. Nguyen. Caleb Giroux. Diape Sek. The following students are management majors, which includes students in the entrepreneurship track. Orukanma Okobule Wanodi.
Congratulations. See you soon.
Tonisha Johnstone. Fasika Delisa. Ashley Taylor. Richard Ayapika. Noah Fleischman.
Congratulations.
Saksham Shukla.
Congratulations. Take your time. Take a deep breath.
Rentao Ma.
Congratulations.
Joseph Gregory.
Congratulations.
Mackenzie
Enjoy
Watson.
your day.
Andrew Merdler.
Enjoy the day. Congratulations.
Eric Young.
Deep breath.
Jacob Gallagher.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Emmanuel, Departmental
Congratulations.
Honors.
Enjoy the big day.
Shirley Yusefi.
I've heard the word already.
Omara Meza. Jabneet Kaur.
Congratulations.
Jonathan Perez. Zenny Juat. Luca de Paiva Azevedo. Golnush Goban.
Congratulations. Take your time. Deep breath.
Jacqueline Febles.
Congratulations.
Carly Malpede.
Congratulations. Enjoy.
Ashton Trevino, magna cum laude. Christina Rivera.
Congratulations. Enjoy the day.
Kara Santucci.
Congratulations.
Audrey Hawaii.
Congratulations.
Farman Hussein. Spencer Track.
Congratulations.
Yanni Christopoulos. Weston Lee.
Congratulations.
Michael Sheehan.
Congratulations.
Ryan Fatula. Andrew Lego. Brandon Crawford.
Congratulations. Enjoy the day. Congratulations.
Jonathan Hijatin.
Congratulations.
Erchandia.
Congratulations.
Christian Archundia.
Congrats.
Cheney Schultz.
Congratulations.
Upneet Atwal. And Shazelle
Congratulations. Enjoy the day.
Shaneja Dupuisandi.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
No, we had to.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, one more time, let us congratulate today's graduates. Graduates of the Robert H. Smith School of Business, it has been a real pleasure to share this special day with you. My congratulations to each of you on the accomplishments that have led to this day. We also honor the people who supported you, who believed in you, and who in many cases paid for you. The parents of the class of 2018. It is with great hope and optimism that we at the Smith School send you out into the world. I am certain that you will lead diverse and accomplished lives. I know you are happy to have your classes behind you, but this may be the end of college. It is certainly not the end of learning. As you continue to learn, I hope you will share your knowledge, your insights, and your experience with us. And I hope that your life will lead you back to this learning community, to mentor students, to serve on a committee, to speak to a club, or to continue your education. Graduation is a significant achievement made possible by your own hard work, but also by the support of your friends and family members. And as you graduate, I also offer to you the Smith School's encouragement and support. Take advantage of our alumni networking opportunities as you pursue your careers. Stay in touch with us, and we will stay in touch with you. The Alumni Relations Office is even now checking your addresses and the spelling of your last names. We hope you have a long and mutually beneficial relationship with the Smith School. Every member of the Smith community is very proud of your achievements. We wish you well on the journey ahead, and I look forward to hearing many good reports of your successes in the years to come. Congratulations. I wish you all the best.
Will graduates and guests please remain seated until the faculty has recessed? After the faculty has recessed, graduates are asked to please exit the arena by any of the stairways from the floor. Thank you and have a great evening.